Okay, admit it. There are some things that you do with your PWC that you probably shouldn't. We all do. Let's talk about some of those things. Hey everybody, this is Captain Frank with the Ship's Log, and in this video we're going to talk about some of the things that we do with our PWCs that maybe we shouldn't do. Some are worse than others. Let's see if you fall into one of these categories. But before we get started, if you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe. It really does help my channel and really does make it a lot easier for you to get my content when I do release that. So I would definitely appreciate that. So let's go into the first one. The first one, yeah, you probably already guessed it. Jumping waves. Well, why do we do it? Well, it's fun. Now, obviously, gives you a rush that, you don't really get doing a whole lot of other things. So that's why a lot of folks do that. Why should we not do it? Well, if you've ever jumped a wave and end up putting your face into the handlebars of your ski, you probably know why you shouldn't be doing that. If you didn't come away with a broken nose, you were pretty lucky. Also, if you jumped a wave or jumped waves and you ended up with a crack in the hull of your ski, maybe you know why you shouldn't be doing it. But sometimes people still do it. If you look in your owner's manual, it clearly says, don't jump waves because you can damage your ski, not to mention damaging yourself. Okay, it does put extra strain and stress on your hull and the drivetrain and yourself. So you got to really be careful if you're going to do that. Now, some people say, oh yeah, well, they got to put that stuff in the owner's manual because of legal speak. They don't want to get in trouble if somebody goes out and does something stupid with their ski and gets hurt. Well, there's probably some truth to that, okay? But it's also a good idea not to do so. I mean, take it from an expert in the industry. If you ever watch Kevin Shaw from the Watercraft Journal, he says the most detrimental action that you can do to your ski is jumping waves, okay? So, again, I know that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to stop doing it, but at least think about what you're doing when you are doing it. All right, number 2. What's the second thing that we do with our skis that we probably shouldn't? Riding it up onto the beach, okay? I don't necessarily mean letting it sit on the beach, but if you're approaching a beach, you're gonna hang out there for a while, don't just ride it right up there on the beach, sliding through that sand. Yeah, we might do it because it looks cool. It's obviously an easy way to beach your ski, but it's not necessarily good for the ski itself. It can harm the bottom of the ski. And it doesn't matter what type of hull that your ski has. Sure, there are some hulls that are a little bit more susceptible to that. The Nano XL hull, for example, if you have a Yamaha with a Nano XL hull, it is more susceptible to pulling it up on the beach or riding it up on the beach that way. But the fact is it can damage any hull. There's the constant abrasiveness of the sand against the bottom of the ski. That's going to just wear and wear and wear against it no matter what kind of a hull that you have. I mean, think of it. It's sand. What do we do when we want to actually wear something down? We use sandpaper, okay? Not necessarily the best thing to do. Now, I know you've probably seen an ad by whoever, whether it's Yamaha, Sea-Doo, whoever, when they're showing their jet skis on a beautiful day and they're up on the beach. It looks like somebody ran it up on the beach and then they're walking along the beach having a great time. Makes for a great advertisement. Doesn't mean you should do that in real life, okay? So just be aware of that. Not to mention, you might see soft sand, but who knows? A quarter of an inch underneath that sand, there could be a rock, okay? And if there is, and you hit that rock, that's going to do a heck of a lot more damage. What I usually do, I'll usually leave it anchored in a couple of feet of water off the beach, or I'll float up to the beach, I'll step off, and then I will lift up the front and just kind of gently pull it up and set it on the beach. That may not even be the perfect way, but I do that sometimes. So whatever you're doing, make sure you're careful and make sure you're protecting your bottom. Number 3. Okay, this is the one that's probably going to get a couple of people pissed off at me, but it's true. Mods. And when I say mods, I mean making modifications to the engine to make it faster. Okay? Why do we do this? Well, who doesn't want a faster ski? Most people who own PWCs, they're looking to be faster than they already are. Okay? Whether it's they want bragging rights, maybe they're just a speed demon, whatever it is, but they're always looking to have a faster ski. They're always looking to have that additional acceleration and top speed and so on and so forth. Maybe it's bragging rights. A couple things you got to understand though. And this is whether it's a jet ski, a boat, a car, a truck, whatever. But when manufacturers develop an engine, they develop the engine, of course, to create a certain amount of horsepower, a certain amount of torque. But they also develop the engine and the drivetrain to withstand a certain amount of power that engine can put out, okay? And as long as you keep those things constant, you don't make any major changes in that design, it should last a good long time as long as you're taking care of it. Well, when you go and make changes to the engine so that it can create more power, now that engine is creating more power than the structure of the engine and the drivetrain is designed to handle, okay? So what that typically means is stuff breaks more often, okay? So again, doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't do it, but you just got to understand what you're getting into when you are doing that. You start creating more power with that same engine and you're going to have problems. It's not going to last as long. So if you are going to do mods, and I know that some people, that's what they want to do, and that's fine. If you are going to do some mods, just make sure that you're taking it to somebody who's reputable and they know what they're doing. They are going to be more likely to build an engine for you or modify an engine for you that actually still be reasonably reliable. Okay, here's the next one. Failure to attach the lanyard, the kill lanyard, the kill switch. I have no idea why anybody would intentionally do this. Okay? I literally watched a video not too long ago where there's a gentleman, he was doing a video on YouTube, he was taking his jet ski and he was riding it from Florida across to the Bahamas. Now the first thing I didn't agree with, I kind of figured maybe he wasn't that safety minded, is he was going by himself. I wouldn't go. I've done the trip to the Bahamas on a jet ski. I did not go by myself. I would not go by myself. But also when you're watching the video, you can clearly see that he did not have his safety lanyard attached. Okay, it was connected so that the ski would run, but he just left it hanging off the handlebar. And I'm looking at this going, wow, what are you thinking? He literally, it's something, if he had for whatever reason fallen off his ski out in the middle of the ocean, and the engine was still going, it still would have been in gear. And granted, he wouldn't have been on it, so no, it wouldn't be throttled up, but it would still be moving forward. And he probably would have lost his ski and been out there floating along by himself until hopefully somebody picked him up. You just don't want to do that. The lanyard does not cause any issues. It's not uncomfortable. It doesn't get in your way as long as you either attach it to your wrist or to your vest like I do. I can't understand why you wouldn't do that. If you have been riding without your lanyard attached, especially if you're riding alone, please just connect it. So if for some reason you come off the ski, you're going to be good. Number 5, aftermarket sound systems. Well, why do we want it? Well, obviously it's really nice to be able to ride your ski and have music to listen to and so on and so forth. That's pretty good reason for wanting to get a sound system on your ski. But I tell you, these aftermarket sound systems, they tend to cause way, way, way more problems than they're worth. Usually the problems come in the form of dead batteries, okay? Obviously, if you're going with somebody to install it who's not very reputable, they may not even know how to hook it up from an electrical standpoint, and now the system is running your battery dead all the time on your ski, and sometimes, unfortunately, that might mean you're stuck out there on the water. I've seen people have gotten aftermarket sound systems installed. They supposedly installed a cutoff switch, or they supposedly installed a system which detects low battery voltage and then cuts off the system, and their batteries still go dead. And honestly, I can't tell you why they do, because I didn't look at the ski and try to figure out the issue. I have just seen too many people have gotten aftermarket systems, sound systems on their ski, and it's nothing but problems. So I would say if you do want a sound system on your ski, buy a ski that has one factory installed. Okay. The ski that I currently have, I've got a Yamaha FX SVHO. It has a sound system installed, and it's done the right way. If the battery voltage gets low, it actually turns off the music. Okay, it ensures that I don't get stuck out there with a dead battery. Now, regardless of whether you have a factory installed or one that was aftermarket, you do have to understand it is a greater drain on your battery. And you can't expect to play your sound system like you might, say, play it on your car. You got a smaller battery in your ski. Skis don't charge batteries as efficiently as a car does, or a boat for that matter. So you do have to keep those things in mind. But if you want a sound system on your ski, I would say stick to the factory installed systems. And you know what? If for some reason you actually do have a problem, which is rare, but it could happen, then you let your warranty take care of it. But the factory installed systems, they're designed right. They're made to work the way they're supposed to. They're made to not run your battery dead. They're made to work with the rest of the systems on the ski. That's what I would do. Number 6, this one might be a little bit controversial unless you've experienced this before. But number 6, the thing that we probably shouldn't do with our ski is tow it with the cover on. So this is what I mean is when you have it on the trailer and you're taking off to go somewhere to have a wonderful jet ski adventure for the weekend and so on and so forth. Of course, the reason why you put the cover on the ski when you tow it is because you're thinking, I want to protect the ski. But a lot of times that can cause an issue. Because as you're going down the road, particularly if you're going at highway speeds, you know, that wind is hitting the cover and the cover is flapping as you're going down the road. Even if it's a factory cover, it fits rather snugly, it's still going to slap a little bit or flap a little bit. That causes damage to the finish of your ski. I've actually experienced this myself when I first got the previous ski, the one I had before this. I first got my first Yamaha, and the first time I took it long distance down to Florida, I put the cover on, and I want to make sure it's protected. And by the time I got there, I was trying to figure out why the shiny surfaces where the cover sits were all dingy now. Is because that cover had been flapping on them the entire time, and it took that shiny finish off my ski. It took some buffing and some waxing and some puffing and some waxing in order to finally get that back. So now what I do, if I'm just doing a short tow from my house up to the lake, I don't even worry about a cover. Okay. Take it up there, put it in the water, good. If I'm bringing it back, no problem. I don't worry about a cover. But let's assume I'm taking a long distance trip and I do want to protect my ski still. So what I'll do then is I've actually ordered a large spool of stretched plastics, kind of like saran wrap, and I wrap the outer surfaces of my ski. So right around the edges of the ski, I wrap it with that. And I also do the mirrors because they stick out. And then I put the cover on. This is actually an idea that my brother from another mother gave me. Paul gave me this, otherwise known as Black Ops. You've seen him in a lot of my videos. He's an old motorcycle guy. And so he gave me that whole idea to wrap your ski. That's what he does with his ski as well. So thank you, Paul, for that idea. That will protect those surfaces on your ski from the cover. And of course, the cover protects everything else. So when you get to your destination, you just take the plastics off. You have a good time riding. When you're ready to come back, you wrap it again in that plastic, put the cover on, and go ahead and do your 500, 600 mile trip back home, and you will be just fine. So that's what I recommend if you want to put that cover on. If you do want a link to the plastic, you can probably find that the plastic maybe at a Home Depot or Lowe's. I got mine off of Amazon. It wasn't that much, but I will put a link in the description to that, to where you can get some of those rolls of plastic. And it lasts a long time because you get, I forgot how many hundreds of feet, but you get a lot of it. So it'll do several trips for you. So, okay. Next one, I believe this is number 7. Starting the ski without doing a sniff check. Okay. So what is a sniff check? Okay. First of all, reasons why we don't do it, probably because we don't think about it. A lot of us don't even know about it. Okay. So let's talk about what a sniff check is. Basically, that engine, that ski that you have, the engine is in an enclosed compartment. There's a lot of boats that also have engines in an enclosed compartment. My boat has 2 engines, 3 if you want to count the generator, that are in an enclosed compartment, down in the engine compartment, down in the bilge. Now, normally, starting the engine without doing anything, not a problem. But the fact is, sometimes things aren't normal. What if the fuel line, with all that bouncing around and everything, that fuel line has come in a little loose? What if somebody was working on your engine and didn't think about it and they, put a nick in the fuel line? What if the fuel filter is loose? Who knows? But there's various things that could happen that maybe allow a few drops of fuel to leak into the bilge. And now you're going to have fuel vapors in the bilge. Now, on a boat that has an enclosed compartment like that, you have what we call a blower. You flip the blower on. It's basically a fan that ventilates the compartment to make sure that if there are any fuel vapors in there, then it's going to get rid of those vapors. And then you start the engine, you go about your way. Well, a jet ski doesn't have a blower, okay? So it doesn't have a fan that you can turn on to ventilate the compartment, okay? So what do? Now keep in mind, it is not normal. Under normal conditions, there should not be any fuel vapors in there. But if something happened, there could be. So what do? You pop the seat off and you sniff, okay? If you smell gas, something's probably wrong. Maybe you shouldn't ride the ski that day. Maybe you should get that checked out before you use the ski, okay? Everything smells nice and clean. Great, you're good to go. Put the seat back on, go ahead and start your ski, go off, have a good time, okay? So keep in mind, do that sniff check. If you haven't been doing it, if you have been doing it, great. Keep on doing it. You're doing something safe. Okay, so what are your thoughts on all of these things? Did I miss something? Is there something else that should be added to this list? Do you disagree with any of the things that I said? I would definitely like your feedback. So if you do have something to say, then please put a comment down below, and I will definitely make sure that I read all the comments and respond to those. So thank you once again for watching. Until next time, happy riding.